Hello once again, though if this is your first time, welcome to the Canting Club. This week we have one of my favourite styles of wine, Muscadet, from the Atlantic coast of northern France around the mouth of the Loire River. This is from one of the half dozen best producers in the region, Château Carré. They own 4 properties in Muscadet, but this wine is from their oldest and most famous, the Château de Chasseloir. Like all Muscadet, it's made exclusively from the Melon de Bourgogne grape variety, which, as its name suggests, comes originally from Burgundy, though you can't find it there now, nor in fact anywhere else except here. It's unique to Muscadet. Quite a pale lemon colour, this one, which is very typical. Oh, that nose is so subtle and yet so fascinating. It's more of a sensation in my nostrils than an actual smell of sea air and iodine, sea spray perhaps. By the way, if you can't smell anything at all, then you've got it too cold. Let it warm up a little bit. And then that sea air will be joined by just a suggestion of stony citrus, like somebody had waved a lime over a salty rock. And as it opens out some more, perhaps the lime was squeezed just a tiny bit, and perhaps there was a lemon as well, and perhaps some hay or straw, and just a few very delicately scented white flowers. But still it's mostly about that sea spray, and absolutely lovely. The palate shares the delicacy of the nose, at least at first. It's bone dry and very fresh. They're not actually sharp, and the flavours are fine, but perhaps even more elusive than the scents were. It tastes like lemon juice squeezed over granite. But despite that subtlety, it's got a satisfying intensity, and it really builds in the mouth. Try and hold some in your mouth, slosh it around, see what I mean? Oh yeah, feel that stony intensity, and there's some white pepper spice there as well, and a suggestion of celery salt. Both of those are very reminiscent of Grüne Veltliner, which we tasted a few weeks ago, and in fact this wine is a lot like a pared down Groovy, but without the fruitiness of that variety. In fact, unbelievably, the citrus flavour here is more pronounced on the finish than it is on the palate. Also on the finish, it's unbelievably saline. I keep licking my lips after every sip, expecting to taste salt on them. It's a bit like drinking tequila, lime and salt, only without the tequila. Mind, now that I put the idea in my head, there is a hint of tequila about the spiciness of the finish. Also, quite a lot of chalk. And it really lasts. My mouth is still watering despite the chalky sensation after a minute or more. There's no rush to go back for another sip to find out what it tasted of. I absolutely love backloaded wines like that. How can a wine that started out so subtle and delicate be so satisfyingly intense and last so long? That's the miracle of Muscadet, at least when it's done well. And this one, I think, is the best I've tried yet. I've bought quite a lot of it for myself already. Of course, most Muscadet is quite industrial and fairly simple, but the best wines from the top producers are only a little bit more, and more than worth the cost. 20 years ago, just after Muscadet fell from grace, wine writer Patrick Matthews wrote that cheap versions of wines that ought to be expensive are almost always disappointing. But expensive versions of underrated wines are usually a revelation. That's absolutely true today. Only with Muscadet, even the expensive ones are cheap. Cheers!